My name's Adam Melnyk, the Momentum Coach. I'm going to teach you all about the loneliness phase. This is a phase that all of my clients go through. I've gone through this, my friends have all gone through this. Anybody that's really into personal development or transforming who they were into who they want to be will go through the loneliness phase. And let me be absolutely frank with you, it sucks. It sucked when I went through it. It sucks when my clients go through it. It's not a fun time, but it has to happen. And the first question is, what the hell is the loneliness phase? And why does it happen? The easiest way to understand it is the loneliness phase happens because the person that you are is no longer compatible with the person that you want to be or who you are becoming. Your friends and the people that you're associating with, they don't match up anymore. And as a result, they simply fall away. The issue is that when these people fall away, there's almost this void of nothingness, and it becomes very lonely because we don't know when this phase will end for you. This phase could end in a few months. It could take a couple of years. I don't know. But it's lonely because you don't have any friends and your support work network starts disintegrating. But this is normal. This has to happen. If you want to see personal growth, if you want to get to that next level, you just have to embrace the loneliness phase. And it happened to me. I remember when I was 24 years old, I entered my loneliness phase. I had all these friends that were playing video games and board games, and they loved to sit at home and just shoot the shit with each other. When I was 24, I decided that wasn't for me anymore. I wanted to start a business. I wanted to go out. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to party. I wanted to meet girls. I wanted to have relationships. I no longer wanted to sit in my basement and just play video games. The thing was, my friends didn't want the same thing as me. And even though I tried to maintain the relationships, it naturally just fell apart. Because what was happening was I started going to the gym. I started joined a group called Meetup, where I would do random events. I started going to the bars. I started going to the clubs. I started traveling. And because I started doing all these activities, my time with my friends naturally just fell away. I wasn't seeing them as often. I wasn't talking to them as often. And when I did talk to them, what I found was there was less and less that I had in common with them. Because they were talking about Fortnite and battle royales and all the coolest video games. And I just wasn't in the loop anymore. I just was out of touch. And they were nice to me. They always wanted me around, but I didn't have anything to talk to them about. And because of that, they just disappeared. We just went in different directions. The unfortunate part for me was I was left in the loneliness phase. Because my support network had essentially disappeared, I had no one to talk to when things went wrong. When I went out to the club and it wasn't a good night, or when I went out traveling, who would I talk to about my travels? It was lonely. And this loneliness phase stayed with me for about a year before I was able to make my new friends. Because making friends doesn't happen overnight. You can't make a new friendship within a week. You just can't. That's not how friends are formed. That's not how they're made. It takes time. And you first have to meet somebody, and then you have to prove to them that, hey, I am somebody that you can trust. And then you have to find things in common with them, and you have to keep showing up for each other. And then eventually you guys both decide, without speaking about it, that, hey, we're going to be friends. And that just takes time. It's how it is. For me, it took me a full year to make my new friends. But when I made my new friends, my loneliness phase ended. And I had a new support circle, I had new connections that supported who I was and who I had become. And because of that, I was able to get to that next level. Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of people that can't handle the loneliness phase. Many of my clients in addictions struggle with this. What happens to them is they're addicted to crack, cocaine, heroin, meth, whatever the substance. and they decide this isn't for me anymore. And they cut it out. Say, I'm no longer doing this substance. What happens is their friends are all doing their drugs. They're still doing their own thing. This is their community experience. But my client no longer wants to do that. And because they no longer want to do that, all these friends have to go bye-bye. They have to leave. And that is a lonely experience to them because all of a sudden they're just by themselves. And they sit there and they go, well, how do I make friends that aren't doing drugs? And that's a whole learning curve that they have to figure out. And it's hard. And again, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes them usually about a year to 2 years to develop the habits and the lifestyle to make friends with people that are not addicted to drugs. And because it takes so long and because it's so lonely, many times I see my clients go backwards. They say, sober living is not for me. I would rather do the drugs because at least I will not be lonely. But the problem with that is you can never get to that next level without moving through the lonely phase. It has to happen. One of my recent clients was moving through this lonely phase. She had recently got promoted into a leadership position and was becoming a leader. She was becoming an amazing leader. But because she was becoming a leader, her identity was changing. Her thought patterns were changing. She was learning things and to see the world in a way that her friends and colleagues or her old colleagues just didn't understand. And as a result, the people around her started to just drift away. And she entered the loneliness phase. And we were talking about it, and I said to her, there's a reason why we say it's lonely at the top. This is part of that reason. You are naturally migrating yourself away from these people. The issue is not the migration. The issue becomes, how do we make those new friends? And this is what we get into it. It's first understanding you have to go through the lonely phase. The person you are becoming is no longer compatible with the connections that you already have. Just how it is. As you make that leap in transition and you start noticing the people around you are falling off, we just have to accept it. They just aren't compatible with the lifestyle that we want to live. They're not compatible with who we are. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Hell, you can still maintain those connections, and sometimes people do, but those connections tend to be very loose. They're not as strong as they once were. But we accept that these people are going to fall off. The next thing we need to do, or I think that's the third thing, is we need to continue down the journey of becoming who we want to become. You have to keep going, because if you stop, you'll go backwards. And then you end up getting stuck between these two worlds where you want to become this person, but you can't handle the lonely phase. And so you sit there unhappy with both sides of the coin and you're just disgruntled. I've seen it happen. Don't do it. Keep going. Oftentimes, people hire a coach like myself to help, especially through this part of their life, because a coach can help you just navigate the situation, start brainstorming how to get out there and meet those new people. And on top of that, can start problem solving what's going on in your life to help make that transition a lot easier, a lot faster, and make that loneliness phase shorter. Phenomenally helpful. I wish I had a coach, to be honest, when I was going through my lonely phase. But I would recommend getting a coach if you're really struggling. However, kind of moving beyond that, accept that we don't know how long this is going to take. You got to keep moving forward. But then on top of that, we need to start being intentional about creating our new social network. So we understand our social network is Kaplutsk. We accept it for what it is. And as we start doing the things that we are now going to be doing, becoming the person that we are going to become, we start branching out again in our social network to start making those new social connections. And again, it's not going to happen overnight. We need to be very open-minded. Understand that anyone you meet could be a potential new friend, especially if these people you're meeting on a regular basis. Those are usually phenomenal individuals to start making a friendship with. just go out there and start saying hi to them. We need to start developing the social tools and techniques required to make those friends, to make those new connections. However, we do have to build up those social tools and networks, and we're going to have to be okay with failing. Trust me, when I was becoming my new person, I failed unbelievably hard when it came to making new friends. I met many people that I thought were friends that would not be my friend. I met individuals that were very predatory, that would use me, and that's okay. It's a part of the learning process. It's all about learning and moving forward. But it's understanding that we have to develop now these skills within us to start pushing through that loneliness phase, to start building up those social connections again. And then guess what? The loneliness phase ends and you have your friends and you have your social supports that you can now rely on. And it's phenomenal. Now, there's a caveat to this. If you decide to go another layer deep, let's say you go from, I don't know, an employee into a management position, you encounter that loneliness phase. It might not be as bad as if you did a full transformation of your lifestyle, but it will still be there. As you become a manager, you decide, hey, I want to become an executive or a business owner. You will have to go through the loneliness phase again. The only difference is that it will be easier the second time around. It always is. And then it's even easier the third time around. And the question I get from many of my clients is, why is it easier? It's like, well, you've been through this before. You ended up developing the tools that you needed and the techniques needed to make those new connections. They are there. You figured that all out on the first time around. You're just retooling those techniques to help you on this time around. That's all you're doing. And because of that, the loneliness phase is shorter, and oftentimes people don't even notice it. I myself have gone through a couple loneliness phases since I was 24. And what I've noticed is that the loneliness phases are a lot shorter. It can be upwards of just a few weeks, maybe a month. That's about it. And the reason for that is because I now have the skills under my tool belt to make new friends, to make new social connections. And I'm also okay with being alone. I don't need to have people around me all the time. And I accept that people are going to just drift out of my life. We don't need to be upset about it. The third, the fourth, the fifth time, it's a key piece of cake. It's a cakewalk. But we always must understand that it is a part of the process. And it can be devastating if you're just going through the loneliness phase for the first time. It's very challenging. Trust me, I've done it. My new friends have all done it. Many of my clients have all moved through it. It's quite challenging, but you can get through it. Trust me. As I always say to many of my clients, don't believe in yourself. Believe in me who believes in you, and I believe you can do this. If you're struggling with the loneliness phase, or you want to shorten it, or maybe you're just struggling with figuring out where you want to go or who you want to become, sit down for a free coaching session. We will sit down together and figure all that stuff out and start moving you in the direction you need to be moving. Otherwise, I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Take care.